Hello, my name is Anna Fowangali. I am the Director and Principal at Evolve Workplaces. And today I'm going to be training you in how to facilitate a workplace mediation. Okay, so it's really important that you have a model when you are negotiating a conversation between two people who are in conflict in the workplace to keep everybody safe. Often human resources and managers are asked to conduct these workplace conversations and they don't have a model to do it from. So it's really risky to do that. You could put yourself at personal risk by the one or both making further allegations and you form part of the complaint or further escalating the complaint itself. So basically the model consists of three sections. The first one is your face-to-face interviews that you have pre-mediation. So I'm going to talk about what needs to go into that, why you have them, and also how to help your participants prepare for their joint session. The second component is the joint session itself. So I'm going to go through the mediation model that we recommend. This model is also endorsed by the National Mediation Accreditation Board, RMAB. It's got some slight differences, but for the main part, it is that model. And lastly, we're going to look at post-mediation strategies. So the thing is with workplace mediation that it's slightly different to other types of mediation because often you have to work with the people straight after the mediation. Unlike, for example, a commercial mediation or a business-to-business mediation, you might not see them. But in these mediations, the parties are often required to walk out of the room and continue to work together. So it's important that the model incorporates having a more restorative relationship and focuses on that. So let's get started. So I'm thinking we start is at the beginning. So actually in the intakes. In the intakes, there are 7 areas that you need to communicate to the participant, but you also need to obtain information from the participant. So because you need to make an assessment about whether or not going through to a joint session is going to be the most appropriate intervention at that point. Okay. All right, so the 7 areas that you need to communicate to the participant, and this goes for each participant. So the same information needs to be given and garnished from the participants. So the first thing is that you need to review your role. So you need to advise the participant what your role will be in that discussion. So for me, usually it goes like, I'm an independent and impartial facilitator and it's my role to keep you safe through the process. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but to merely ensure that there is a safe environment for each of you to say what you need to say and explore whether you can reach agreements moving forward. Now, you might want to adapt that to suit your particular role. So, for example, if you're a manager, you might say something like, normally I'm managing you. However, in this particular discussion, what I'd really like to see is for you two to be able to work it out. So in this particular conversation, I'm not going to act as your manager. I'm going to act as an independent person and provide a space for you to see whether or not you can work this stuff out. If you can't, however, I may need to revert back to my management role and give you instructions about where to from here. So you might want to consider playing with that, but it's really important that you describe your role to the participants so they're really clear and the expectations about what you're going to do are aligned. So that's the first thing that you need to cover with them, your role. The second thing you need to cover with them is confidentiality. So in workplaces, you can't really commit to confidential discussions, particularly if they disclose something that you need to act on. For example, sexual harassment, bullying, more serious allegations. It doesn't really lend itself to a confidential information. You may need to act on that. So when I'm talking to participants about confidentiality, I explain to them that the information that they give me is not necessarily confidential, that I might be using that information to report back to management, or I might encourage them to do it as well. But, you know, in workplaces, it's very regulated, particularly in Australia. So it's really important that we also follow the requirements, external regulations about what to do if you do get those sorts of disclosures. So often you as the manager or me as an external mediator, we can't promise to keep their confidences. However, we do request that they don't speak to their co-workers about what's spoken about in the joint session. So we request that they keep matters confidential. I frame it like it's not intended to silence you. It's intended to contain any potential fallout from the current conflict, so it doesn't contaminate other relationships in the workplace. That they can speak to their EAP, which is an employee assistance program which offers external counselling. They can speak to their loved ones. They can speak to an advocate, but we just don't want them talking about it to their co-workers so it doesn't escalate. Okay, so you do need to cover confidentiality with them as well. So we've talked about the role, we've spoken about confidentiality. The next thing that you need to discuss with them is the voluntary nature of their participation. So we talk about the voluntary nature of their participation because that produces the best results. Where people want to participate and they want to engage and try and sort it out, that gives you a really good benchmark to reach agreements moving forward, and it gives them a really good chance to make it work. So when I'm working with people, I talk about the voluntary nature of their participation, that they can terminate at any time. It's not designed to stress them out. It's not designed to make matters worse. It's designed to support them move through it. So if that's the case and they don't want to participate, they don't have to participate. Okay, I always say to my participants, look, there are doors. If you need to use them, we can use them, and we can break at any time. Okay, so I've gone to 7 minutes. I hope that's sufficient for you, LinkedIn, to assess whether or not we can progress my request to conduct training around conducting workplace mediations and also how to manage a workplace investigation. Okay, bye for now.